Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell, owner and founder of Unstoppable Overcomers Productions, the largest producing agent out there. For all of your media needs, definitely get a hold of us at unstoppableovercomers.com. With that, though, I would love to bring to the stage our guest today, Josiah. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dorothy. I'm so excited to be here and just excited to be a guest with you this afternoon.
Oh, perfect. And we're excited to have you because this guy is full of energy. So, for those of you that don't have any clue who this guy is, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of 45 Degrees Leadership Development Consulting. And my journey here has been kind of a wild one. I left public education a couple years ago. I was a principal, 2 master's degrees, all but a dissertation done in my PhD. And the next step was a superintendent and running a district. And with all of the kind of societal pressures and issues that are flowing into schools in the United States and around the world for that matter, my wife said, I don't want our family to go through what a superintendent's family goes through in today's world with social media attacks and all the drama. And my son is 5, my daughter's 3. They're everything to me in my world. And so when that happened, it kind of just shook me in the fact that, I'm a driven person and I want goals and I want to chase something bigger. And, without a superintendent thing, what am I doing? And so I bet on myself. I left education. I went to a company and launched their first ever leadership development program. The company had 700 employees about in 41 states and had a 90% overall manager effectiveness score, an 87% overall employee engagement score, and broke the quarterly revenue record in the time that I was there. And so I worked with all the way up to the CEO down to the frontline managers in the call center and equipping them with curriculum and learning opportunities to develop and grow as leaders. And that company was so gracious to me. They poured into me, they invested in me, and allowed me access to some of the greatest leadership training in the world. And I started to create my own frameworks. And I really there started to understand that you can drive results in the business setting and protect the dignity of everybody involved. Mm-hmm. And seeing that really, really opened my eyes to the power of human connection and what's possible when leaders execute emotional intelligence. And so I created my own leadership framework that equips people to lead in that manner. And the foundation of all leadership is communication. And I have a simple 5-step actionable process to execute emotional intelligence in every single human interaction. And so what I'm doing is I'm offering business to business in the form of keynote workshops and one-on-one coaching. But I'm really excited because my website is just about to launch in the next month. And I will be offering to you access to an online community, digital courses, books, and other PDFs and journals and type things to equip you with the ability to connect your head to your heart and execute emotional intelligence in your leadership.
Wow, I love that. There's a lot of different leaders out there that could totally use this. And you said something so key, communication. It's all about the communication. It's funny. Some instances in some of the jobs that I've been into, we're leaders and they think they could just say whatever they want and everybody's okay. And then they have no idea why the entire department's in an uproar, right? And they're like, well, what? Suck it up if they don't like it. And I'm like, is that how you want your employees to look at you?
and that's the big change. And that's why I talk about leadership really being at a crisis point right now is, it wasn't that long ago where it was common to say, if you don't like it, go find another job. And as long as, just be gracious that you're getting a paycheck and that you have a job. And that's not cutting it anymore. It's not, Dorothy. The opportunity to leave and go find other employment and to start your own business. Like there's too many opportunities for talented people right now that leadership has to evolve and adapt and understand that you need to inspire, engage, connect, and provide meaning for people to be productive, to stay employed with you, to retain talent. And
Mhm.
that's where we're at right now. And those that adapt and grow and look for opportunities to work with somebody like me that can equip you to connect your head to your heart are the ones that are going to succeed today and, more importantly, win big tomorrow.
Oh, 100%, 100%. What would you say would be your biggest three things that you've had to overcome today to get to where you're at in business?
Well, so the first piece is being an entrepreneur is the coolest community in the world. I was blessed. I was a football coach, a high school football coach, and I coached offensive line. And the fraternity of football coaches is incredibly strong. I was, in a room with SEC head coaches, and they would talk to me and teach me the game of football. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced until I became an entrepreneur. And the other people in the community that have founded businesses that have succeeded, that are winning really, really big, want to help. They want to pour into people. They want others to succeed like they have. And the one key thing in order to take advantage of that and continue to get access to that support is you have to take action. And people that have founded businesses, they want to work with entrepreneurs. They don't want to work with dreamers. And the
Mhm.
difference between being a founder and an entrepreneur and a dreamer is that you're doing things and you're taking action and you're showing up and grinding it out. And when you do that, people are going to rally around you and support you and invest in you in many ways. I'm not talking capital or money. I'm talking time,
Mhm.
talent, and those things to help you succeed. And so that's been the biggest thing for me to realize. The number one takeaway is how to leverage and how to index all of the support that's out there. And some of the best advice I ever got was, Josiah, don't listen to another podcast. Don't read another book. Don't schedule another meeting with a successful entrepreneur. You're smart enough to figure this out. Start doing, start going. That's where the real learning will happen. And so for me, those have been the two things: is understanding there's so much support out there and people willing to help,
Mhm.
but you also have to do and you have to act. And when you combine those things, you're going to get all of the support that you want. But along
Mhm.
with that, everybody's going to give you advice. That I'll tell you this, Dorothy. There, I never realized how willing people were to give advice until I became a parent, and then it became even more like just essential that everybody has an opinion. Everybody has to tell you something, not only as a parent, but then as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. And the same is true with business as it is with a parent. Nobody knows all of the insight, all of the context, all of the specifics of what you're dealing with. And so when you're taking advice, do you really want to take advice from somebody that doesn't see the whole picture, have access to all the information, but yet is going to give you advice? So
Yeah.
tread lightly, take action, lean on people that have done it before with questions around the action you've taken and the learnings and questions that come from that, and
Right.
embrace the connections, and you will be supported.
100%. There is a lot of advice out there, but if you don't put action behind it, and really, if somebody gives you a piece of advice and in your gut you're thinking, I'm not sure about this, go with your gut. I'm telling you, because every single time I go against what I think is my gut saying, I mess it up. So seriously, you can, like Josiah said, have all this great information, but maybe it doesn't pertain to you or what you do. So just be aware of that as well. I love that you said that.
Yeah, and then Dorothy, the final thing that I do want to share is, and this might be the most important piece and thing that I've had to overcome and learn, is you start a business because you have a craft or you have a something of value, right? And
Mhm.
and you're passionate about that. That's what is leading you to want to share this expertise and
Mhm.
insight with the world.
Yeah.
And that's great, and leverage that and ride that. But in order to be successful, you have to understand that whatever it is that you're passionate about, you have to get more passionate about marketing and sales than you are about your craft that led you to launch your business. Because without marketing and sales, it's not going to be a business. It's just going to be a passion. Right. And so that's for me, the key biggest learning points. And I'll share with you openly, the best place I found to learn is LinkedIn. And anything you want on there, whether it's health and fitness, it's copywriting, digital marketing, sales, anything. You can find experts in anything you want on that platform. And you start to follow people, you start to engage with people, and they'll start to coach you and help you and develop you. And the potential of that platform to like level up fast, your ability to market and to sell is just incredible.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I find LinkedIn is like a community within a community. I remember when I first started this show, it was insane the amount of support that we got, right? Because everybody, back then, 3 years ago, that's back when COVID was around and we had no choice but to sit at home, right? So everybody was at home in front of the computer waiting for the shows to start, right? And so I could just remember, and everybody, commented, everybody would go to each other's show, and support each other, which is absolutely amazing. We've done some incredible stuff on this platform. We've had 24-hour live events. We've raised money for cancer and veterans and, a lot of different things on this. I don't know how many people I've networked with over the last 3 years. So you're right. LinkedIn is the place to be for networking and connecting. I will agree with you on that.
And you touched on it. It is the most generous and supportive social media platform I've ever seen. I mean, is there drama? Yeah, at times, but the overall percentage of drama on LinkedIn compared to any other platform I've been on is exponentially less. And it's people that want to support and pour into you and connect. And if you don't see that, you just don't engage with that person anymore. And it's up to you. You control your feed by what you engage with and interact with. And it is as powerful as you choose to make it.
100%, 100%. And yeah, like I always say, give back as well. Like go on those people that are supporting you, go back and support them because that is key. I don't know how many, well, obviously we started at 0, but in no time at all got over 2,000 followers. And then, it just keeps on going from there. I basically had pretty much nothing a year ago. And it's just gone gangbusters, but that's putting the time in. Like you said, we were having a conversation in the green room and, you have to put the time in. People need to see you. And people, people don't know who you are or where you're at, then they can't connect with you. So
absolutely.
So what would you say are your 5 business tips for our viewers today?
That's a great question. So, really, one of the main things is that understanding that your business is not your product or your service, your business is you. And there's the saying, nobody's coming to save you. And you touch on it. If people don't know you exist, they're not going to come find you. And if you're going to sit there and wait for people to throw, credit card numbers in your Stripe account, like that's not going to happen. And so understanding that it's on you. And this really resonated with me. I was on a call with Matt Higgins, who has an amazing book called Burn the Boats. It's all about entrepreneurship. And he's an executive fellow at Harvard. He was a guest shark on Shark Tank. And on that call, he was talking about when he invests in a business, he always bets on the jockey. And a good jockey and a good founder, it doesn't matter if it's a bad idea or a bad product, because he said they'll have the ability to iterate through that. And so when you look at founding a business, it is you, and you own all the success and all the failures, and you have to constantly examine, what it is that you're doing. And with that comes a great deal of emotional battle. And that's, the second piece is the emotional battle of founding a business. Is it's exciting, it's scary, it's exhilarating, it's worrisome. It is like the opposites of every emotion all at the same time. And what I found, Dorothy, is the stress and the worry tend to only happen at like 3 a.m. right? Like it's when I can't sleep and I'm awake, and all of a sudden the self-doubt and the questions, is this going to work? And all those things. So you have to be like ready and focused just mentally to endure the grind.
Mhm.
And when you start to do that, it's, it really becomes enjoyable and fulfilling and all the positives. So
Mhm.
those are my two takeaways. I know I don't have the sheet in front of me, but I shared like a couple with you. Could you just remind me a
Yeah.
little bit what I shared on there?
Um, yes. So your number one was become more passionate about sales and marketing than you do with your business, which
Yeah.
I believe we've touched on that. Everyone has advice, tread lightly. We've touched on that. Do and do again. If you want to learn, nothing else prepares you.
Yeah. And so that's what I was talking about you have to just stop reading, stop studying, and do, because that's where the real valuable learning comes from.
Right. Go fast and iterate relentlessly.
Yeah.
You gotta have that. And so here's another thing that I don't share too often, but some of our biggest supporters you would think would be our family or people that are closest to us, and it's really not. It's those people that are out there that are doing the same thing that you out there on the grind with you, that sees your vision and wants you to succeed. It's not always your family friends, and I'm really telling you this because this one almost took me out. If I would have listened to what my family had to say, I would have never gone into this business at all. Not at all. So your biggest supporters are not always your family.
Well, that's so funny that you say that, because I'm fortunate and blessed. My wife is incredible. She's supportive. But we're very, very different people, right? She's more selectively extroverted, I say. She can go out and engage and have a great time, but she doesn't have to, right? Where like me, I have to interact with people. If I don't interact with people, I'm not like myself. And so I move fast. She's slower pace. She, wants to research and do things. I want to do something and figure it out. And so we're very, very different, but she's super supportive of this and of my business. Um, and I will tell you this, what's really interesting about that is that I'm on LinkedIn. I post every day at 6 a.m. and I'm talking about executing emotional intelligence and, being the best version of yourself and all this inspirational rah. And that's who I am. I'm high energy. I'm optimistic. I'm relentlessly like
Yeah.
persistent, and I'm going to go. And at the same time, my wife will tell you that I'm the guy at home that leaves, the dirty dishes in the sink. And how are you going to talk about being the best version of yourself when the dishwasher's 2 feet away and you left that knife in there after you made Caleb's lunch and didn't put it in the dishwasher? Like, this isn't adding up, Josiah. Like, I know who you are. And so it's funny because what you said about others is like, there are people I'm so blessed by. I have an amazing tribe and community
Mhm.
on LinkedIn that is very, very fun, very, very engaged, very, very passionate, and incredibly brilliant. And
Mhm.
I laugh because my wife, Tanya, will be like, Josiah, like, don't believe the comments that you've just been engaging with all day. Like, pick up the toy that you just walked past and ignored on your way to sit down and watch the Brewer game, right? So it's so funny, the dynamic, because there's Josiah the dad and husband, there's Josiah the personal brand, and like the
Mhm.
reality is somewhere in the middle of those two things, right?
Yes. It's funny that you said that. Again, my husband is supportive. He didn't wants no part of it, but he'll support me. So I love that you said that. And the tribe that I have around me, without those people, like my people on LinkedIn, and I have a Saturday morning mastermind group that I belong to. So shout out to those women. Without them, like if I was just to rely on my brother or my other people, it would just be like no. But you're right, like, and I think we all have those faces. We have the spouse, right? We're the spouse, we wear that hat. We're the parent or step parent, we have that hat. And so what really happens inside of our family life sometimes is different than what we have here on LinkedIn, that doesn't mean that we're not that person. It just means that, wait a minute, our family's going to see a different version of us because we have more. It's true. We have more damn patience with our clients and with our tribe than what we
Yeah,
do with our spouse and our children. And that's just the way life is, though,
it is.
seriously.
And for me, it comes down to comfort, right? Like, when my kids are amazing, Caleb's 5, Kenny, my little girl, Kendall is 3, and they go to school and they're the greatest kids ever. They're so kind. They're so respectful. They're so happy. And then
Mhm.
the minute I pick them up, it's temper tantrums, right? And I used to like wonder why is that, and it's because they're so safe, they're so comfortable, and they know that they're
Mhm.
so loved that they can just let it down and be their authentic self. And
Yeah.
we're people, unfortunately, you have the same diagnosis as I do, and that we're humans, and that means that we're flawed. And when we're comfortable and in that space, we know that we can let it all out. and
Yeah.
and that's just different between a professional environment and a home environment. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's healthy that it's that way, right? Like, my
Exactly.
I mean, my wife has said to me before, I want my husband Josiah, not the leadership coach Josiah. Like, can you just talk to me as a normal person? And 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 that's real, right? Because I'll go into default. And there was actually a conversation on LinkedIn today, is when somebody's asking you something, I have to ask, like, do you want a solution or do you want a shoulder, right? Like, do you want
Yeah.
a shoulder to cry on and want me to just listen, or do you want a solution? Because if you don't tell me, I'm coming right at you with solutions. That's just how I roll, right? And
Yeah.
so that's not the best thing in all situations.
Oh my gosh. So I'm so glad you said that because I have this friend and her and I have been talking back and forth. I met her on LinkedIn and we've gotten to the point where, we text message each other just to say, hey, how's your day going type thing. More like a friendship than a business relationship. And she was struggling with a couple of things and it's all stuff that I've overcome. So like I always share with people my struggles and my solutions because I want people to, not have to go through what I went through in order, to get through life. And so one day I just went right into coach mode. I was just like, bulldozer. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I guess I should have asked you if you wanted that coaching. And then, I have this thing that everybody that it surrounds me, you know, we're all going to win. So and that's the thing. I have to remind myself, ask those people first, hey, wait, do you want the solution or do you want me to just listen to you? But I figure after having the same conversation 5 or 6 times, it was like, it's not that I didn't want to hear it. It was just like, okay, now it's time to do something about it. If it's the same conversation each time we talk, then here, I'm just going to give you free advice. That's what.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, it's a balancing act, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the last thing you had was not the difference is you, not the idea.
Yeah, which I touched on that a little
You
bit
touched on
already.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the idea, the product is a part of it, but it is on you. And the one thing I didn't talk about before is, I had a post on LinkedIn just the other day about it. Is, the go fast and iterate often piece is that when you're leading or when you're launching a business, failure is inevitable. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. And
Yes.
and so when you fail, you want to fail forward, and that means that you learn, reflect, course correct, take different action, and iterate through the problem.
Yeah.
And the story of Howard Schultz and Starbucks is he went to 240 investors and was told no 240 times. And on the 241st time, he was told yes. And
Mhm.
so when you're launching a business, I don't know how many times it's going to take until you get to yes, but what if I did, right? Like, what if I told you that 241 is going to be your yes,
Mhm.
and you only have one logical choice, Dorothy, and that's to go fast, right? Like, I'm gonna
Right.
I'm gonna go as fast as I can to get through the 240, to get to 241, to get the yes, so I can move forward. And
Yeah.
so when you know that failure is inevitable and iteration is going to be constant, the only logical choice you have is to go fast. And I'm not saying go carelessly fast. Like, you need to learn, reflect, grow, adapt, and adjust. But you have to go fast with action, and knowing that inaction oftentimes has a much larger cost.
100%. It's like the pain of regret or the pain of failure is what I look at, right? And because there's so many things that I failed at, and that I'm like, okay, but there's so many things that I've succeeded at. And so, if you don't try, then you're always going to wonder.
For sure.
And it's funny because in my house, as you can tell, it's all about football. So I have to remind myself, Tom Brady was not the number one draft pick, guys. Tom Brady was 199. 199. And look where his career ended, being number one, the greatest of all times. So if nothing else, Josiah gave some amazing tips and amazing strategies that he has used. But always remember, like I try and keep things simple. 199 to 1. Like, seriously. And I'm sure it was repetitive, like you said. He had to put the time in. He didn't become the greatest athlete of all times just by sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. That's for sure. So it's just something to, put in our back pocket and remember, because you're right. Failing is inevitable. It's just, we just got to keep going at it.
Yeah. And you touched on, to me, football, I touched on it before. I was a football coach, and all football is a game of failure. And the team that wins has less failures than the team that doesn't win. You have 11 people on the field at one time. Each of them has a very specific task and a specific technique to get that, down to the point of like where they point their eyes, right? Like, I could watch film and tell by a guy's head that he wasn't looking the right place and this wasn't going to go well. And so when you get down to that level of granular detail, failure is just going to happen. And so the team that fails less on every play is the one that's successful. And everybody has a role, everybody has a piece, and that's why, to me, it is the greatest team sport in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people. You're right. If you just look at the successful football players out there, that's your greatest leadership. One of your greatest leaderships. Yeah. Watch history; it repeats itself.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thank you so much for coming on today. Any last tips for our guests before we wrap this up? Or any last words of encouragement?
Yeah, so let me tell you this. If you are at all considering launching your own business, jumping into entrepreneurship, I am going to tell you right now, do it. And there is no better time. Your experience, your knowledge, you can turn that into products. You can monetize that. People want to learn. People want to pay to get better. And it is growing rapidly. Coaching is ranked as one of the top growing professions in the United States. And so it is hard, but easier than ever. I don't have a storefront. I don't rent an office. I don't do anything except log on to LinkedIn, post every day, develop a website, interact with people, and sell my expertise and my knowledge. And that's how I'm starting. And yes, I want to grow it and develop it into more than working on an office at my house. But the access to running a business and founding a business right now has never been easier. The cost of entry has never been lower. And the biggest piece is that the distribution is free. I don't pay for radio ads, billboards, newspaper, print, mailers, anything. Like, LinkedIn is there. There's 1 billion people on it. The average income of every person on LinkedIn is $70,000 a year. Start posting, start engaging, start monetizing your experiences and knowledge, and go do it, because it is well worth it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. And where is the best place that you want people to connect with you at?
My LinkedIn profile, it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can just Google Josiah Pledl or 45 Degrees Leadership. And follow me there every morning at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm posting leadership lessons. We have a ton of fun. I touched before, my community is so fun, so supportive, and absolutely brilliant and very welcoming. And so follow me. engage in the comments. You have a seat at the table. The invitation is there. Your insight, your wisdom is going to add value. So I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you being on. I just want to give a shout out to the last sponsor of today's show, which is the Kimbra. For more time, money, or resources, definitely get over to thekimbra.com, where they have rituals weekly that will also help you stay on track as well. So tell them Dorothy sent you. And thank you so much, Josiah, for being here today. Thank you for everybody that was watching. And for those of you on the replay, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Unstoppable Overcomers. And don't forget to look us up on Roku, which is, again, Unstoppable Overcomers. And so same time, same channel next week. Bye for now, guys.